All right, so welcome back to part 36. I think part 36 of C8 Corvette tutorial in Solidworks. And I'm continuing on with the design here, and then to get some references, we're gonna build the rear lights here because it's extremely, not extremely, but a bit complex. Lots of these X design languages all over on the rear headlights. So that defines a lot on the car. So I want to make that not perfect, but close to perfect as possible. And then just to go through a few things that what we're going to do. So we're going to create this drop in here that drops this cut here, and then the small triangle drops down, and this surface here will determine some more surfaces for us here. And of course we're going to create some 3D splines here, and then we're going to create this area here. And then once we have this area here done, we can work on these the rest of the headlights here. Of course it's got two sections of these design here, and then once we done that, then that will give us some great reference points as well to continue on with the rest of it. Obviously the headlights is going to take a little bit of time, and then after that hopefully everything will fall into place, hopefully. And once we're done with all the back section, we're going to I'm going to do the wing mirrors. All right, and once we have the wing mirrors, and then I fine tune the whole car with creating all the joints there. We're going to add all the labels and the names and these stingray thing here, which I'm not happy about. Why there's Corvette in the front and stingray in the back? It's kind of more look like a the ghost sign that is on the Koenigsegg doing this ghost sign. So yeah, so that Corvette in the front and this writing here would have been enough. This stingray fish, it's probably not, instead of this they should have just put Corvette and maybe stingray here or on this side. So yeah, so let's get to the model here. And then we need to do some surface cut on this surface here, so we can create that drop in, and then we're gonna get to this area here. Okay, so to start with, let's bring up the first display state here so we can see our image. We have a lot of stuff here going on, a lot of sketches. Right, so we can hide some here. I'm going to, so just so that frees up our model a little bit. And jump to the front here and hide some bits here as well, maybe some of the planes. I'll just leave it for now. All right, so of course I want to make a sketch on the height plane 3, of course, hide these mountains as well. Okay, and then maybe hide this one as well, this spline. I don't know what that is. Let's cut extrude maybe. All right, so I want to make a sketch on the right plane here and then normal to profile. And that's a surface here, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a sketch on this right plane. So make a sketch on the right plane. And then I'm going to grab this spline here, and I'm just gonna come up here to this area here because that's where our drop-ins here or break-in. So we're gonna come up to this point. And then from there, I'm going to grab this spline. And I'm just going to stay on this edge here. It will highlight the edge, this edge here for you as well, if you've been following my tutorials from the beginning. And I'm going to pull it up until I see the dot, of course. The first point that will show up. Okay, and I'm going to just jump into the second display state here. I'm going to adjust this line. So I want to make sure that it stays on this line, so we're not going to cut into this surface here. So okay, so that looks good. Let's jump to surfaces here and trim this surface out. All right, that's good. And let's jump back into the first display state. And of course, I want to define this point here, where our break-ins will fall. So for that, so for that, I'm going to make another sketch on this right plane. Make a sketch on this right plane, and I'm going to add a point right about here. Okay, and then from that point, we're going to add a jump into second display state, and that's our point right here. And from that point, I'm going to add a center line, and of course, I want to be on Y and X. Of course, it needs to be a 3D sketch, so exit here. And sketch, 3D sketch, and that's our point right there. So let's add that center line. So we want to be on Y and X, and then we want to be straight with this center line. Construction line, or call it scaffolding. Okay, and then I'm going to maybe not exit the sketch yet. Just going to jump to the top here. And that reference point that we need that's the point that we're looking for, is going to be this point here. So obviously it falls underneath this. So this surface edge here that we have on the model, so it falls underneath that surface edge just a little bit, right? So that's our surface edge right here, and it falls underneath that surface edge. So basically that's the line is because we extruded that, so that's the part of that extruded surface. So let's grab that 3D point, and I'm going to drop that point on this surface here. I'm going to drop it somewhere around here, so it falls underneath that. Press OK. So now that we defined that point, I'm going to exit the sketch, and I'm going to grab another 3D spline, and I'm going to grab it from this corner here, not on this line, but this point here. I'm going to bring it up to this point, and I will not add tangency with the line and the face because we want to see that break. We will just add some chamfer, some fillet on this corner. So grab that other spline here and bring it up to this corner, and exit the sketch. And this is just going to be a fill surface. Select the sketch and this edge. Press OK. All right, and then I'm going to bring in our first display state here. All right, so that's our corner surface here. It highlights itself, so that's the point, and it wants to come up to this area here, right? So it's kind of going in an angle, a little bit of angle. Jump to second display state, and I'm going to hide this point on the surface. So Control Z to bring back the surface. I want to hide the point. So hide the point, right. Okay, good. So it's kind of going in an angle a little bit. So I'm going to grab another 3D sketch here, 3D spline. I'm going to bring this up in a little bit of angle on that, but we're going to check that line in the first display state. All right, so a little bit of angle on that, and then first display state, and then we can adjust that line, but it isn't the right angle, so I'm happy with that. So second display state, and I'm going to add the surface, boundary surface from this line. Instead of boundary, let's try fill surface, so we don't have to add extra sketches. On this here, and here. All right. So once we have the surface, we can add a 3D sketch, a small 3D sketch. I'm going to add a small 3D sketch on this corner here. So go to 3D sketch, and I'm going to add a line. Or we can try a spline instead. Spline and line is almost the same thing if you don't touch the control bars. I'm just going to be on Y and X for now, and pull it out to about here. And then I want to make this line a bit more tangible here. I'm going to pull it down to here. And I want to pull this line underneath the car. I'm going to show you in a minute why. So now it's under the car. So I'm pressing space bar every time when you see this cube here. And then I'm going to grab this point and pull it onwards here. So about there. So let me show you why I'm pulling under the car. So I'm pulling under the car because that curve that I just added is this curve here, and it goes underneath the car. So we want to create this surface first, and we want to create this lower first surface first, and then this one before we can do anything on there. So this point should be about this thick. I mean this long, and now maybe we can just put it a little bit this way. And we can always adjust it. So that almost looks good to me. However, we're going to maybe make it shorter, but this line will determine that. So let's grab that spline and make that spline from this corner here to this point. So it needs to be up a little bit, somewhere about there. We don't want to make it too thick. And of course, I want to follow the surface, this surface here. So I'm going to grab that line and we pull it down a little bit. Again, I'm not going to apply tangency with this surface here or this face here. So I'm going to jump into the top view here. And I'm going to make this spline without adding any spline points. I'm going to pull it to create that small surface there. And it's under that surface, so that's good all the way around. Let's have a look at from the side as well. Make sure that we are parallel to everything that needs to be parallel to. So it's almost good. It's actually good. And then So that's a good surface here. All right, let's exit the sketch here. And let's jump into do a fill surface. Let's try do a fill surface here. The small edge here, the sketch. And so I already selected that one. Press OK. All right, so it's a lovely surface right there. Quite happy with that. And we created that small drop in as well. So the next surface we want to work on here, it's going to be this lower surface. So that lower surface, we're just going to work, create this section here. And then this will belongs to when we get to the back of this section. So we will create this surface here. Okay, so again, we're going to add another 3D sketch here, 3D spline, and then we're going to bring that from this corner and maybe try Y and X for now. And pressing spacebar to get into this view here. I'm going to pull this line somewhere about here. Let's jump to the top of this car. So we pull it under the car. Let's have a look at the picture again. So yeah, that sketch 2 goes under the car as well. That small spline here. Something like that. Let's get to the back of the car. And maybe we don't want it this long, so let's just pull it a little bit lower. Control Z to get out of the snap. I don't want to snap to anything here. So that's that. And jump to the side. So that small sketch almost look good. We will find out how it will create our surface that we're looking for. All right, so obviously we're going to pull this line from this corner to here. So let's grab that 3D spline to this corner. And we don't need to add anything else on this spline or move it at all. I'm just going to exit. And let's try and do a boundary surface with selection manager, just this top line, press OK, and this lower one. And we don't need to add any tangency. And we're just going to add a boundary on this two here. And no tangents on this one as well. That looks good. That corner will disappear once we create the rest of the headlight unit here. And then let's have a look at again our drawing. So there's one more surface we need to create here. And that's going to be another spline. 3D spline, of course. 3D spline from this corner and going up. Trying to follow this line here and not add any unnecessary curvatures. Pull this to here. So, and because we snapped onto the surface, it's giving us these unnecessary curvatures, which is this one here. So I'm going to delete it. And instead, Let's do spline from this corner to this corner. Let's pull that spline up into position without adding any extra spline points. So make sure that we are in the right view and straight. Let's have a look at the picture. Okay, so that's going to be that's just going to be a surface underneath this car body. So don't need to be that perfect. So pull it up to here. And there. And then we just want to make sure that we are under the car as well, under the surface. The line here. Okay, so that's under that body there. And we kept our curvature if you look in from the side. All right, that's good. Exit the sketch. And then let's go and try to do boundary surface. I mean a filled surface with all these edges here. And that's not good because it's creating a curvature on the surface. Let's do boundary surface here. And the selection manager. Select this line, press OK. And select that line. Let's flip these connectors. And I'm going to pull this point up to this point here. So now the chubby should be straight. And for direction 2, let's choose this straight edge here. This will straighten out even more. Okay, and then our boundary surface. Let's bring back that. Sketch. Show. And then let's do a fill surface on this small area here. Let's have a look in the without these lines. Right. Okay, and let's have a look at the picture now. All right, so we are that's our corner here. We are almost on target, but we have too much of a curvature, I think, on that surface. Yes, we do have a lot of curvature on that. So let's delete these surfaces. Yes, delete. And let's delete this sketch as well. Okay, and let's add another 3D spline from this corner in. So 3D sketch, 3D spline. And then we want to be on Y and Z in that way. So we will adjust this curvature from here, from the rear. That's a bit too long, right? So we just pull it in to about that far. Let's just double check from the side. And now let's just pull it in that direction, maybe a little bit more in. So it gets sharper towards the corner. Let's just double check again from the back as well. And that looks good to me. Okay, and let's add a line from this point to that point, and let's add another line from this point to this corner, and then it disappears. All right, so exit the sketch, and let's try and do a boundary surface now with selection manager. Let's choose this line, press OK, choose this line here. Let's flip them, and then for direction 2, choose this line here and this edge. He's not happy about something, so let's do a fill surface. So this edge, that's not good. Looks like we're all connected everywhere here. Let's try the boundary surface again. Selection manager, like this line and this line here. Edit this feature. Okay, and then I'll flip the connectors, hovering over the pin connector there. And let's just add this side here, and try to press OK and see that worked. Good. And then and then we want to connect this line to here, but we already have the sketch. So let's bring that back to 3D sketch, show. And let's try and do boundary surface on these two. Select this sketch and this edge. Let's add this one for direction, maybe. Okay, let's try to do a fill surface with these surfaces here. So this edge, and this line here, or not. Okay. So let's hide these lines, and we create our own lines here. So 3D sketch, 3D line into this corner. Okay, and let's try to do our fill surface with this new line here. So fill surface, this edge, this line, and this edge here, and that created our surface there. All right, so that's a much better surfaces on this area here. So that's pretty good. All right, so this corner here to work with, and then this corner here to work with. Okay, so let's see some picture here. So obviously the corner of this surface headlight area, it's coming out from this flow line of the vehicle. So we're trying to stay on that flow line as much as possible. And of course, we need to determine where that line is. So let's do that. So to do that, we're going to jump into, so that's our line here, right? It goes all the way here. So let's go to 3D sketch, and let's convert this edge here in 3D. So make sure you are on 3D. And let's grab a spline and just pull that out to about here and add tangency to this curvature. Okay, and just come to the top. And I just want to make sure that we are not straight with this curvature. Okay, so let's delete this line here. And let's grab another spline. And let's pull it to about here. And then now let's try and add that tangency. We could have just possibly used the edge. So there you have it. That creates that distance, and they will follow that line that we'll need. So let's turn that sketch into a construction line. Okay, so that's kind of following that line almost, so we are almost on target on that one. But that will be almost invisible to see that little bit, right? Okay, so exit the sketch here. And then we're going to grab another 3D spline. And that 3D spline will come from this corner onto this line here. And then this tower at this point, I'm going to jump into the first display state because we need to adjust the curvature. So click on the front plane, normal to profile, flip that around. And that real headlight have a little bit of curvature profile. I'm going to pull this in towards here. And let's add that profile on that curvature, which is something like that. All right, and then let's jump into the second display state because I want to make sure that we have a curvature from this side as well, a profile as well. And then it does have a nice profile. Okay, so next curvature we need to create is going to be another spline. And that spline we go from this point obviously out to this corner. All right, and then let's bring back the first display state. And click on that front plane, flip that around, and then let's add profile to this curvature here. All right, and then jump into the second display state. And make sure we have a profile from this end as well. Okay, so that looks good. You can always add more afterwards. Okay, I'm going to exit the sketch. And let's add our second, third, I don't know how many, next 3D spline from this point into this corner here. Okay, and then all we have to do is jump to the top here and add a little bit of profile on that curvature as well. Just a little bit like that. Exit the sketch. And now let's create some surfaces from these lines that we just created. Okay, so the one that will go up to that has quite a bit of sharpness here. So let's create the lower ones first. So let's try and do a fill surface with this edge. First line, second line. That created a beautiful surface right there. And then let's jump back into feature tree and bring back that 3D sketch. So show. And of course, for the second surface, we need to create a 3D spline along this way so that we don't get that sharp area that is here, right? So let's jump into 3D sketch, 3D spline, and bring it from this point. And of course, you want to stay on that edge and jump over that corner like so. And then come down to this corner. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's just double check from the side that we are not overlapping anything too much. Let's drop that control polygon on there. That looks good. And press OK and exit the sketch. And then I'm missing a 3D spline here, but we can use this edge. So let's do good surfaces, fill surface, and let's try to create the surface from these sketches. That's not gonna do it. So let's try boundary, selection manager, select this line, and then select this line here. And for direction 2, of course, this sketch, and press OK. That created double surface for us, so let's edit that surface. Make sure we don't have, so basically we don't want to add any double surfaces because that will cause problem with rendering, so make sure you never have double surface. So edit feature, and then we're just going to pull this point up to here. So now we have one surface here. That's okay. And now we have individual surfaces here and no double surfaces. All right, so that created that beautiful surface right there. And what we're going to do with this small corner here is just jump to fill surfaces and select this line and these two edges. And that filled in that small area. That's not even going to be visible. All right, so I'm quite happy with that one. Oh, well, also we can come in the edit feature and maybe add tangency on this area there. Let's just try how that look with that tangency. So contact tangency and press OK. And it's a lot better with tangency, so it completely disappeared now, that small corner there. Okay, let's knit these two surfaces together, these three surfaces together. That's fantastic. All right, let's hide these lines. That's good. Okay, so I'm not going to mirror anything over yet. And we're going to build some more stuff on this back section. So we're going to mirror afterwards. It's going to make it much easier. However, we can hide some of these lines. And we can hide this one as well. And we keep this one line over here. Okay, so right, if you're just tuning into my channel, don't forget to subscribe. I would highly appreciate that. And thank you very much for staying with me in this tutorial. And I'll see you back in the next tutorial.